Peace, Oakland. This is your host, Seneca Scott. We're back with a very urgent episode of Gotham, Oakland. But of course, all of our episodes are urgent because you won't hear this news anywhere else. Now, this election, of course, is on my mind beginning 4 days. And so let me start with some thoughts about the climate in Oakland and just what I feel about what's going on right now. Now, the pathological need among so called progressives to other their neighbors, to fracture communities, vilify dissent, and cloak their policy failures beneath a shroud of moral superiority. It's not merely political malpractice, it is the architecture of evil. It is how injustice hides in plain sight. Now, I keep sounding the alarm, not out of hyperbole, but because I've studied history. This is exactly how genocides began, not with violence, but with language, with exclusion, with a society taught to look away, while its conscience is slowly dismantled. We must not look away. Now, speaking of looking away, our local crumb media have absolutely looked away from any criticism of Barbara Lee for what I believe are some pretty damning revelations. For instance, it took a reporter from San Francisco to notice that Lee has personally steered over $63 million in federal contracts, most of them no bid, always the no bid contract, to her own company while she was, holding public office. Now, that's not equity, that's entitlement with a diversity shield. And most of the money went to guard services. Now, I guess when you're guarding your own gravy train, you want top notch security. And again, where is the Oakland media? Nowhere. Crickets. The same folks who hyperventilate over every city hall appointment or so-called right-wing fundraiser or funder, or even when Nina Joyner tweeted, "Get well soon, Kanye." There were 3 news articles. But for this, they are totally silent when a progressive icon gets caught with both hands in the cookie jar. Now, here's the kicker. These are the same defund the police activists who spent the last 4 years trying to carve out big money contracts for, you guessed it, private security. Now, Cat Brooks and Councilmember Carol Fife's grifty nonprofits, anti-police terror projects, and the Community Ready Corps have repeatedly tried to run the same hustle at Peralta schools, with macro, and others, just with more hashtags and fewer deliverables. It's always the same formula. Scream about police abolition, then quietly invoice the city for patrols in the name of community safety. Barbara says she's a product of affirmative action. No argument there. But apparently, the real affirmative action was her relationship with Ron Dellums in a Rolodex full of no-bid contracts. And now she's calling for more transparency in minority contracting. Come on, the hypocrisy is startling. Yeah, Barbara, let's definitely open the books. Just maybe not your chapter. Now, lastly, my thoughts going into the weekend before the special election on Tuesday. The fact that this is even a close election is concerning for 2 reasons. Lee is absolutely unprepared for this challenge. Oakland is facing bankruptcy. She's going to inherit a budget that she probably had nothing to do with, or maybe she did since she's already got her people in City Hall. But she's surrounded by sycophants and the same exact incompetent, corrupt figures who gave us Shingdao. Now, former Councilmember Lauren Taylor is obviously a stronger choice. By no means perfect, but stronger than Lee. But many Oakland voters are either reflexively progressive or mostly white, low information newcomers who just moved to the city. Afraid of being labeled gentrifiers, they default to whatever the Democratic Party tells them because it feels safe. Now, the rest of the field has, of course, largely been ignored by the local media. They act like they don't exist. So we know next to nothing about them. Some might actually be good choices, but sadly, we'll never know. This is the problem for me. We need to do something about Oakland's local democracy. We need to do something about ranked choice voting. And we definitely need to do something about the fact that unless you're coordinated or attempt to be coordinated by the unions, because we can beat them, most people think that you don't even have a chance to be elected public office in Oakland, California. With that being said, let's get on to the rest of the episode. I've got some videos to share with you, lighten the mood a little bit. These videos are pointing out sort of a theme of my previous monologue, progressive hypocrisy. And I found them just absolutely, just hilarious. And of course, I thought about Oakland, and maybe you would too. Let's see.
We're on the scene in this Republican county where African Americans are being oppressed by horrific new voter laws, forcing them to acquire a legal ID to vote. Excuse me, sir. You're unable to acquire an ID, are you not?
Actually, I just renewed my ID. It's pretty easy, actually.
There you have it. This poor black man has been disenfranchised by racist voter ID laws because he's too ignorant. I'm sorry. Ignorant means stupid. Too ignorant to acquire a voter ID. Absolutely tragic. The new laws forbid giving out food, water, and free cash to voters in line. How will black people figure out how to drink water in line to vote?
Yo, this guy, if he would have been a white girl with big glasses, it would have been much more convincing because there's really no straight, he appears to be straight. There are no straight white men doing this kind of stuff. There's some weird, shocking socialist looking dudes like Tracy or Darwin who look like they haven't showered in a week, or the white girl with big glasses from KQBD where they have like three and I can't tell them apart.
That's illegal. Thanks to Republicans. Where did you get that anyway?
I brought it.
You didn't bring that. You're too underprivileged. That means poor. I'm sorry the evil conservatives are trying to figuratively smack the water out of your hands.
You literally just did that. Like, who are you? You know what? Forget it. It's my time to vote.
That's who he is.
We just witnessed a hate crime. A thirsty, dehydrated hate crime.
Yeah, the Babylon Bee absolutely nails it. This is it. It's not even really hyperbole. If you live in a city that has been captured by progressives and you understand the hysteria of which they look at anything that they think that they can weaponize, at the same time completely hiding and ignoring absolutely much worse things amongst their own ranks, then you know this is not really that far from the truth.
Our thoughts and prayers to his family. Black people are oppressed. How oppressed? Republicans want to stop us from feeding them. Well, you can't stop this progressive, you racists.
You're the racist.
Here comes the airplane.
How did you get into my house?
I won't let these alt-right lunatics starve you.
Get
Yeah, eat it.
Look at guillotines. Banana shaped is enough for woman.
Oh my God.
What the? You don't know how to use this remote. Republicans won't pass laws to teach you.
Yo. That black man is literally not the implementation of black people by progressives. I mean, these are a technological
Black people are incapable of doing anything white people can do on their own. Progressive policies are the only solution. You can't escape them. Without them, you literally can't do anything! Another black man flees in terror from the bigotry of Republicans.
Yep.
After the break, we'll talk to an expert on racism who agrees with us on the capabilities of black people. That's illegal!
Nice straw man argument, Babylon Bee. Ooh, I better write a blog post explaining what a straw man argument is to black people.
Now that right there is Omar, trash night heaven. Racist white man who continuously seems to belittle black men fighting for their own people, thinking that somehow he knows more and has a better plan for black liberty, black solidarity. Meanwhile, he hates black people. And did I mention that he beats his wife? Is a deadbeat dad and has sick fantasies of being a suicide bomber? Come on, trashy. Do better. Anyway, next video.
My name is Anna. I use she, her pronouns, and I just wanted to start us off with a quick land acknowledgement. We actually like to use people first language here, so it is actually people of enslaved experience, or POEs. Our whips are sustainably.
This is Shane Turner incarnate, the number one token for the white progressive causes. I thought it was Carol Fife, but Shane Turner has just been so unhinged lately. It's you wonder, what did they pay her this time? You know, she's been paying over $500,000 just in the past few years from nonprofits to do exactly what you're looking at here. But let me start this over because I just want to let this play from start to finish. It is such good comedy and high art. Again, it seems like everyone's catching on to the hypocrisy of progressive. What are they going to do? What are they going to hide? When you virtue signal that much, the fall from grace, it's probably fatal, if you ask me. I think the progressive movement is about to die a very ugly death in America, except for the cities that they have captured. And if your city has been captured by these evil, insidious, phony progressives, you can always call me. I'm here to help you out. I'm easy to get a hold of. Reach out, and we'll come in your city and help you get rid of the soggies.
My name is Anna. I use she, her pronouns, and I just wanted to start us off with a quick land acknowledgement. We actually like to use people first language here, so it is actually people of enslaved experience, or POEEs. Our whips are sustainably farmed and cruelty-free for the cows, obviously, not for you guys. We are so excited to announce that by Q4, this plantation will be carbon neutral. We have a number of trauma-informed whipping posts. And do you consent to being whipped today? So instead of terms like master or mistress or mixtress even, we've decided to use some more gender-neutral language, so we'll be going by overseer. I just want to remind everyone that it does make quite a few members of our staff feel unsafe when there's talk of words like uprising. That's not an okay thing to say in the workplace. So I'm glad you asked that. Ending slavery is actually not a feasible solution for all populations. Like, for example, I have chronic pain, so I physically cannot pick the cotton myself. But I just encourage you to think more of our most vulnerable populations when you're talking about envisioning a better future. How can we include? And it's really more of like an access issue. We have to think beyond ourselves. On Monday, the overseers will be off to commemorate the memory of Robert E. Lee. So you will be expected to whip yourself. Harriet was an exception. Yes, yeah. Yes. We've actually decided against using gendered language for that. So instead of referring to you as boy, we'll be using the gender neutral.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. Anyway, on to the bulk of our episode. From social work to security contract, the incredible journey of Barbara Bag Secured Lee. Now, if we mentioned before in our opening monologue, it seems that not very many people are interested in Barbara Lee's no-bid security contract that came to almost $70 million. But if you're watching Gotham, Oakland, you're interested because you want to know more. So let's go to the only reporter brave enough to cover this, Susan Reynolds of The Voice of San Francisco, who released this article on April 1st, 11 days ago, and somehow no one has picked it up. I wonder if this was, say, a moderate Democrat like Lauren Taylor, who they tried to compare to Donald Trump, if they would have picked this story up. I'm pretty sure that they would. Instead, we have a local media that is absolutely dog-walked by the Democratic Party and our local progressive cabal. On to the article. The $63 million woman Barbara Lee company tied to 287 contract actions, many while she was in political office. These themes seem to replay themselves over and over again in these incestuous political circles. As we've said, again, before in our opening monologue, Community Ready Corps and Anti-Police Terror Project have tried and failed the exact same schemes. According to federal procurement data system, over $44 million went to guard services. Barbara Lee has had a successful career in politics and business, allegedly. I'm not going to read the entire article, but let me go ahead and give you some more here. If minority businesses receive federal contract, their share of the U.S. business sector will have reached an additional $64 billion. We're calling on the governor to release all 21 to 2023 data so we can prove equity in contracting. Well, let's look at some of Barbara Lee's contracts. It looks like that In 8 years, she had 65 contract actions, coming to $15 million in obligations when she was a staff member of U.S. Representative Ron Dellum. She was a private citizen shortly thereafter. She received $5 million from 35 contract actions. And then as a California State Assembly member, she received 118 contract actions totaling $32 million. As a state senator, $5.5 million, and as a U.S. House of Representative congressperson, $4.9 million for a total of $63 million. And we aren't the first persons to bring this up. There was actually some scuttlebutt about this when she ran for office in 1996. The Oakland Tribune ran a story about the no-bid contract. One of her opponents, Bob Candle, in the California 9th Senate District, raised questions about Lee's family-owned management consulting firm, W.C. Parrish Company, and Lee's associate. Now, this Parrish Company was run by her mother. Again, very similar, community radio corps owned by Earl Harper, Carol Fife's husband's mother in Louisiana. Our family seems to always be involved, just like the mafia, right? We keep it all in the family because remember, money buys everything. And it goes through all of the no-bid contracts that she's had. Now, I'm actually going to read this part right here because I know it's probably too small for you to see it. Bob Candle, one of her opponents in the California 9th State Senate District election, raised questions about Lee's family-owned management consulting firm, W.C. Parrish Company, Incorporated, and Lee's associate, which had contracts to supply security guards and other support services to Federal Department of Agriculture and Energy, the Army, and the Environmental Protection Agency, and the U.S. Geological Survey. According to Campbell, the value of the contract exceeded $8.3 million, but that number could not be confirmed even by them. Interesting how that works. We need Doge. Our review of the Federal Procurement Data Systems record shows Lee's companies secured 4 contracts through the Small Business Administration that are not open to competitive bidding. And that's the big part here. This is what I mean by incestual and nepotism in office. When you say that this type of favoritism is systemically racist because it goes to only white people, I would agree with you, Barbara Lee. The answer is not a race to the bottom, so that when you finally take over, you do the exact same, and as an excuse, you point to when the white man did it. That just means it's okay. That means you're saying that it's okay. This is why I have a big problem with Black supremacy. People who are like, Black man is over the white man and we're God and all of that. I get it. It makes you feel good. And we need a boost because we've been held back so long. And America's original sin still has this derivative effects. We know that we inherit trauma through our mitochondria. And anyone religious knows you inherit the sins and trauma from your parents and your forefathers. So yes, that wasn't that long ago. And there's still so much trauma and mutual shame between our communities from slavery and from the extremely racist actions after slavery and the persecution of Black people that continued for a long time and still continues to this day in some circles. Maybe not as systemically as before because we've, as you've seen, captured government. We have finally got control, got presidents elected, got Congress people elected, all of these Black people, CEOs, all of these people getting into positions of power, finally breaking through these glass ceilings of systemic racism. And what do? We do the exact same thing as the white man we demonize. So I'll go on. But these companies were not the only ones to bid in the contract. According to federal records supplied by the Campbell campaign, the article stated, Campbell suggested Lee heard about these contracts through her position as an assembly member, state-based conversion council, and chairwoman of the Assembly Select Committee on Defense Conversion. Let me put it this way. Had she not been working for Ron Dellum, I'm sure she would not have known about those contracts, Campbell said. It doesn't smell right to me. Now, insider trading is illegal. Is insider and competitive bidding for no-bid contracts illegal? It's at least unethical. And people should be talking about this, especially since it seems that the people that she's trained, her proteges, have attempted these exact same schemes and grifts in Oakland, California, leading to the dismantling, demoralization, and defunding of Oakland's police department. Now we have a public safety crisis with very little cops. Barbara Lee, ironically, has a platform for 850 officers, something that Cat Brooks used to demonize, and now all of a sudden she looks the other way and applauds. There goes that progressive hypocrisy again. There's more. The Voice compiled 96 pages of contract actions referring to W.C. Parrish, including the $677,000 no-bid award to the Edwards Air Force Base and $247,000 award to the Environmental Protection Agency, San Francisco, listed as Facilities Operations Support Services Purchase Order. Women-owned business, small business set aside, unquote. Lee's firm was the only bidder. Now, all of this is included. I'll put the link to the document in the chat. But I don't feel like this is the kind of person that's set to lead Oakland, who spends all of their time enriching their personal self. So if this is the first time you're hearing a little bit about Barbara Lee's record, let me give you just a quick primer on some of the things that have raised red flags to me. Number one, Barbara Lee brags about bringing money to Oakland. She's running on her ability to bring resources to Oakland. But when we examine her record, it seems like the bulk of the resources she brought to Oakland went to defund the police movement. In addition to that, Barbara Lee let 3 professional sports teams leave on her watch. If she was so good at bringing resources to Oakland, what happened to the Golden State Warriors? What happened to the Oakland Raiders? What happened to the Oakland A's? And that's the big one, because she could have absolutely stepped in and helped save the A's, but where was she? Nowhere to be found. Now, while she brags about bringing home the bacon, she actually ranks 218th out of 450 in the House of Representatives. That is the bottom half. When you're under 50%, that is a failing grade. She doesn't even have a D. She has an F. Just an F grade. An F grade in bringing home resources to her district. All the while, she ranks number 1 in international travel on corporate sponsored dime. Many of these companies funding her travel being healthcare insurance agencies, defense contractors, big tobacco, you name them. People who she claims she doesn't like, Trump supporters, the Duong family. Matter of fact, it is well known in Washington, D.C. among lobbying circles. And if you don't believe me, fact check me. If you want Barbara Lee to sign something, or you need to get some motion with her and get a bill signed or get some support, all you have to do is send her family on a fancy vacation. That's the rumor. That rumor seems to be credible when you rank number 1 in corporate-funded international travel, and you have a history of lavish 5-star hotels and first-class accommodation for everyone in your family to travel and apparently do the business of the U.S. government. 218th in bringing home money out of 450. 218th ranked out of 450. The bottom half in bringing resources back to your district. Number 1 ranked in international travel, traveling the world, feeling like a superstar. Is this what you want in Oakland, California? Do you really think this is going to help the city, or do you just not care about Oakland? It looks like the people who are voting for Barbara Lee do not live in poor neighborhoods. Just like the people who voted against the recall for Shengthao do not live in poor neighborhoods. The poor and working class of Oakland is desperate. It's starving. We have children in these encampments. We have mothers spending time trying to bring water home to thirsty babies sleeping in tents. 100% of women who are forced to live on the streets of Oakland are raped in the first 72 hours. There's no sense of urgency for the poor and downtrodden. All they want to do is continue their corruption and their grift. And the number 1 reason why I believe that they are so desperate to get Barbara Lee in office is because the unions know that if Lauren's elected, he is going to bring people back to work. The workers were supposed to come back to work last week. Now, all of a sudden, it's extended to June. Why? They're hoping Barbara Lee wins so that she can continue this telework. We know every single time a public municipality is researched. This happened in San Francisco. This is happening around the country. Every single time you start to look into people who are still working remote, 3-4 years after COVID, what do we find? They have second jobs. They've moved out the city. How many workers who are union members have moved away from Oakland or even California and gotten second, even third jobs and continue to dial it in and take a salary from taxpayers while they're failing to deliver the services that we need? Not even mentioning that downtown continues to be dead. It's a doom loop down there because no one's coming to work and people are not coming to City Hall for services. And just, I mean, come on, guys. What are we doing here? This should be an obvious election. Anyone who's voting for Barbara Lee needs their heads examined. Now, if you're voting for someone else on that list that's not Lauren Taylor because you managed to see them in a forum and like what they say and you want something different, I'm fine with that. I'm an independent. I think that we should not go left or right. We need to go up, down. Either you have integrity or you don't. That's why I always tell people I'm post-partisan. That's why I always tell people I'm post-partisan. Now, me personally, I would not be voting for Barbara Lee, and I'm not entertaining ranked choice voting this election because it's too dangerous and it gives too much room for people to manipulate elections. And you heard that right. You heard that right. We've called for Tim Dupuy to be fired. How do we have the register of voters who is also the head of IT for the county? It's like a match made in heaven to cheat. Anybody who is a data specialist, I challenge you to enter into a debate about the 2022 election where we have absolute smoking guns and proof that something funny happened in that election. And if you're hearing this and you want to go share this and say I'm crazy, step up to the plate and debate. Don't throw your shot from over there, from places that you banned me from and kicked me out of because you don't want to hear my voice. Step up to the plate and let's debate. Let's put it all on the table and let's talk about that 2022 election that we had a manual recount order from the Alameda County Board of Supervisors, but somehow Tim Dupuy slipped away because it's too expensive. It takes too long. Democracy is never too expensive. And any election that you cannot authenticate is illegal. Now I'm going to end my second rant. I wanted the first rant a little more polished. I wrote that one down and put it in my teleprompter. But this rant was not scripted. It was all from the heart, like it always is for me to you, my audience in Gotham, Oakland. So to my neighbors, my supporters, and to my gang stalkers who watch this, I love you all. Peace. Till next time, see you Monday at Gotham, Oakland.
Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here. Yo, I swear it's only up from here.